In this lesson video, I'm going to go ahead and start working with toggle buttons. Toggle buttons are a great way to have a button on your screen that indicates to the user that the button is selected. So let's go ahead and move some over. You're going to find the toggle buttons in the form widgets category of the palette. And you can see here that I have it says off. If you hover over it, it'll say toggle button. I'm going to go ahead and drag one over, and I'm going to drop it in the center here so that it says center horizontal equals true, align parent top equals true. And again, if you can't get it to that exact same location, sometimes it's easier to switch over to the code. I'll scroll down and find that toggle button. Here it is. And then making the adjustments within the code. So center horizontal equals true, and I have align parent top equals true. I'm going to go ahead and switch back over now to the graphical layout. And this is one of them. I need to drag over 5 others since an acoustic guitar has 6 strings to work with. So let's go ahead and drag over another one. I'll drop it right below it. And it looks like mine wasn't centered exactly right. Let's go ahead and center this one. Let's see if I do align image, align left of image 1. Okay, this isn't working exactly as I wanted. So let me switch over to the XML. And again, like I just mentioned, sometimes it's easier to make your changes in the XML itself. So here's my toggle button. I want it to say that it's going to be below toggle button 1, which is right here. And I want it to also have the layout center horizontal equals true. So I'll just copy that. And rather than saying align right of image button 1, I'll make that change here. Now if I switch back over to the graphical layout, there we go. That's the way I want the button to look. So let me switch back over here to the code, because it may be just easier for me to copy this and then paste in 4 more now. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I go over to my graphical layout, I don't see them. So I have button 1, button 2, space that over. We'll call this one 3. This one will be 4, 5, and 6. And if I do Control S to save it and switch back over to the graphical layout, I still don't see them. That's because they're all on top of each other. So let's switch back over to the XML. It's always good to do a little bit of troubleshooting. And what you'll see here is I had the layout below for button 2, right below button 1. And then now for the third button, I need to have that be below button 2. And then this one needs to be below button 3, button 4, and this one is going to be below toggle button 5. Now let me go ahead and save my work and switch over. This is what I wanted to see. Okay, so I have 6 toggle buttons. Each one of those is going to represent a string of a guitar. There are 6 strings on an acoustic guitar. And now what I wanted to do is actually have the letters of those strings on the guitar itself as well. So I'll switch back over to the code. Let's make some changes to each one of these toggle buttons. I'll start with toggle button 1. I'll go ahead and hit enter. I need to set the on-click attribute for the toggle buttons so that I can execute code based on the click event of the toggle button. So I'll just go ahead and type in the Android on-click event. And let's go ahead and I'm going to separate each one of the buttons independently. So I need to create, I will be creating a method for each one of them. Let's go ahead and call this one on toggle E6, string E, 6th string, and I'll go ahead and do click. Alright, I'll go ahead and come outside of the double quote and hit enter. I also need to set the text for whenever the toggle button is on and off, both attributes, which means that you can change the text of a toggle button depending if it's selected or unselected. So let's go ahead and type in Android, colon, the text for being on is going to go ahead and be a capital E, and I also need to set the text Android, colon, text for being off is also going to be a capital E. So I'll just go ahead and keep both of them as a capital E. However, I could change those if I wanted to. Alright, let's go ahead and copy those 3 attributes. And I'm going to come down here to the second toggle button and paste them in. Rather than using the same method, let's go ahead, and the second string is going to be the A string. So we'll say on toggle A click. It's going to be a capital A and then also a capital A. And I'll come down here to the next toggle button and I'll paste in those three attributes on this one. And this one's going to be on toggle. We're going to go ahead and say D click. I'll change that to a letter D and that one to a letter D. Alright, toggle button 4. I'll go ahead and add those attributes. EADG. G is the next chord. So let's go ahead and put a G in there. I'll put a G in here and a G there. The next toggle button 5, I'll paste in those attributes again. This is the letter B, B, and B. And then the last string, we'll go ahead and put on toggle E. Since this is the E string again, I'll put a 1 there, and then I'll leave those as E and E. Okay, Control S to save it, switch back over to the graphical layout, and I now have the strings of my guitars EAD, GBE. Each one of those toggle buttons is set up to have the letters, and each one of those is going to reference a method to execute code based on the click event of that toggle button. Let's now go over to the main activity and let's go ahead and set this up. Okay, before the onCreate method, I'm going to need to create the toggle buttons. That way I can use them in different methods throughout my activity. So let's go ahead and call this one toggle button TBTN E6 for the first one. And I'll go ahead and do this again. Toggle button TBTN A colon toggle button TBTN D colon toggle button TBTN G colon toggle button TBTN B colon, and the last one toggle button TBTN E1 colon. I will need to import the toggle button, so let's go ahead and do that. Import toggle button. Alright, they've all been declared. Let's go ahead and instantiate all of those toggle buttons by coming to the onCreate method, and I'll just space down, give me some room to work with, still within the onCreate method. And let's go ahead and link them to the toggle buttons from our layout. So TBTN E6 is going to end up equaling a toggle button in parentheses and then find view by ID r.id dot, and this is going to be toggle button 1. I'll go ahead and end that with a semicolon. And let's do the same thing for the other toggle buttons. TBTN A equals toggle button find view by ID r.id dot toggle button 2. And that with a semicolon. And it may be easier to just copy this, paste in a few more. EAD G B, the last one is E1. And we're going to go ahead and switch these over to toggle button 3, toggle button 4, 5, and 6. Okay, we'll go ahead and end there. We have all of our toggle buttons created on our layout, and then we also have them all linked to our activity here. I'm just going to do a Control S to save our activity. In the next lesson, we're going to go ahead and take a look at actually working with playing sound when one of those toggle buttons are selected.